We begin today the Gemara on Daf Nun Amud Beis, 3 lines from the bottom of the page where it says Yoime de Mechayach. This is continuing the story that I mentioned before about Rebbe, when Rebbe made a chasana. So he didn't invite originally Bar Kapara. So we'll see over here in the continuation of the Gemara why he didn't want to invite Bar Kapara. So the Gemara tells us as follows: Yoime de Mechayach bei Rebbe, on a day that Rebbe was laughing, Asya Puranusul Alma. So punishment came to the world. Why is it a negative thing that Rebbe is laughing? So there's various pshatim for this. One of the pshatim are because after the time of the Churban, and you didn't have to be feel the tsar, the pain of the Churban Beis HaMikdash. So when Rebbe is laughing and it shows that he's not feeling the tsar of the Churban, so that brought, or at least so it seems, so that brought a punishment, a puranius to the world. That's one of the pshatim. Another pshat is that Rebbe himself, the Gemara says in another place, was a Baal Yisurim. He suffered physically. And his suffering took away the punishment that the world would have gotten instead. Because he was the Nasi, so therefore he took it upon himself, the suffering. But when he was laughing, and Rebbe was really rich, and when he was laughing, so he didn't have that suffering, so then instead the suffering came to the world. So Amalei Bar Kapara, so Rebbe said to Bar Kapara, Loi tavdichan, do not cause me to laugh. And if you will be careful not to cause me to laugh, I will give you 40 grivi, which is a certain measure of wheat. I wanted to make sure, I saw apparently the Bar Kapara, as we'll see, he was a batchen. This is what he would do for a living. He was a comedian. And Bar Kapara, don't forget, was a great Tana, a very high level, and the things we're going to learn here in the Gemara. So don't forget who Bar Kapara is. But at the same time, this was his thing. He brought simcha to people. And Rebbe said, I don't want you to make me laugh because he doesn't want Puranius to come to the world. So let's see, Bar Kapara didn't exactly listen to Rebbe. He did try to make Rebbe laugh. Lech simar. So he says to Rebbe, let's see, let the master see what's going to happen here. The chol grive de beine shekilna. Every measure of wheat that I will want, I will take from you. So what did he do? Shakal de kul rabbe. He took from a big palm tree. He took the pieces from a palm tree and he made out of it a big basket. And then chafye kofre, he covered it with tar. So it should be like a good basket, which is well insulated. Nothing will fall out of it. And v'sachfe al reishe, and he puts it over his head. And v'azal v'amar lei, and he comes to Rebbe and he tells Rebbe, leichel limar arbon grivi chiti. Let the master give me to eat. Give me the 40 measures of wheat. The rashina bach, which I'm collecting from you, which you owe me. He comes and tells Rebbe that I lent you 40 measures of wheat and pay me back. Of course, this is not what happened. He never lent him the wheat, but he was playing a joke with him. Och Rebbe, so Rebbe laughed. And Amalei, Rebbe says to Bar Kapara, Lav azahartoch, didn't I warn you, to loy tebatchon, that you should not cause me to laugh? Amalei, so Bar Kapara just went on with his, and he said, Chiti de rashinikana sivna, I'm here to take the wheat that I lent you and give me my wheat. That's the story. Okay, you see here a story like this between Bar Kapara and Rebbe, these holy Tanoim. We're talking over here about something which beruchni is. I mean, maybe the wheat refers to levels in Torah. Wheat sometimes is compared to Torah. We're not talking over here about the simple individuals. Vaitana, the Gemara comes back to what we began learning yesterday, where the Gemara spoke about the chasana of Rebbe, and he originally did not invite Bar Kapara. So here it says what happened when Bar Kapara was invited to the wedding. Amalei Bar Kapara lebrate de Rebbe. Bar Kapara tells the daughter of Rebbe, L'machar, tomorrow by the wedding, shatina chamra b'rikude da'avuch, I will drink wine when your father will be dancing, u'b'kirkani de'imach, and your mother will be singing. That's a simple translation of here, according to most Rishonim, that he was saying that I'm going to cause your father to dance and your mother to sing. Even though, so the question that the Mefarshim ask is, Kail B'isha Erva, you're not allowed to hear a woman singing. So some say it doesn't mean literally singing. It means, we'll see soon in the Gemara, that she just poured him a cup. Or others say that Bar Kapara was on a level that the Kail B'isha Erva did not apply to him, because to him, he didn't have any of these nisyanis, any of these kinds of things regarding the Erva of a woman. So what happened? First, the Gemara says, Ben Elisha Chasane de Rebbe Hava. Ben Elisha was the son-in-law of Rebbe, V'asher Gadol Hava, and he was very rich. Okay, and he was also there. Now, Azmanei lebei lule de Reb Shimon be Rebbe. So Ben Elisha was also invited to be there by the chasana. Amalei Bar Kapara le Rebbe. So now by the Chasana, Bar Kapara says to Rebbe as follows. My To'eva. What's the meaning of this word? What's the etymology of this word? What does To'eva mean? That the Torah writes when it speaks about the Isser of Mishkav Zachar. So called Amalei, Rebbe, whatever Rebbe would answer and try to explain what the meaning of this word To'eva is, the Hachanu, that this is what it means, the Hachayu To'eva, this is the meaning of the word To'eva, Parcha Bar Kapara. Bar Kapara refuted it. He explained that that's not the Pshat. Amalei, so Rebbe finally said to Bar Kapara, Parsha Yat, so you explain what the word To'eva means. Amalei, so Bar Kapara says, you want me to explain it? Teisi de Bischi, let your wife come, and Tirmili Natla, and let her pour me a cup, or a glass of wine, or let her pour me a glass. Asas Ramyele, she came and she poured him a glass. Amalei le Rebbe, so Bar Kapara says to Rebbe, Kum rekoidli, now you get up and dance for me, the Eimelach, and then I'll tell you the pshat of the word To'eva. So he explained as follows, Hachi Amarachmona. The word To'eva means as follows. The Torah is saying To'eva, it's a combination of three words. Toye ata ba. You're straying in this. That a person that has relations with another man, so you're straying away from the normal behavior of a human being. And why are you doing this? What do you find in this? That's the translation of the word To'eva. When it came the time to drink another cup, so Amalei, so Bar Kapara again asked, my tevel. What's the meaning of the word tevel that the Torah says when it speaks about the mishka of a isha with a behemoth? So there the Torah uses this word tevel. What does the word tevel mean? Amalei ki inyana kadma. So again, Bar Kapara said, like he said before, let your wife come and pour me a glass. And Amalei said, Avidli, do for me like I said for you before, that the Rebbe should come dance for him, the Aimelach, and I'll tell you the pshat of the word tevel. Avad, so Rebbe did what Bar Kapara asked of him, and Amalei, he explained, what's the meaning of this word tevel? Tevelu means tavlan yeshba. Do you find any spice in this? Is there anything good about this? The Torah is saying, why would a human being leave to have relations with another human being and instead with a behemoth? This says there's nothing in this for you, so therefore this is despicable. That's what the meaning tevel is. And so the Gemara spells it out. Mishanya hadab biyim and kulam biyis. Is this cohabitation any better, any different than the cohabitation with another human being? That's why the Torah uses the term tevel. Amalei, Bar Kapara further said, my zima. What does the term zima mean when the Torah speaks about znus in the Torah and it says the term zima? What does that word zima mean? Amalei, so again, Bar Kapara says to Rebbe was trying to explain what the word zima is and he didn't come to the pshat. So he says to Bar Kapara, or Bar Kapara rather says to Rebbe, Evid ki inyana katma, do for me like what I mentioned to you before, to dance for him and his wife should pour him a glass. Avad, and Rebbe did this, va'amalei, and Bar Kapara explained that the word zima means zu mahi. This woman, what is she? Meaning, when you see a woman that's pregnant and she's having relations with other people, so you don't know who's the father of this child. That's the meaning of the word zima that happens to someone that has nus, that doesn't have relation just with her husband. So this is what Bar Kapara was saying and speaking about and doing at the time of the chasana. So what happened? The Gemara before mentioned that Rebbe's son-in-law, Ben El-Shah, was there, and Lo Yachol Ben El-Shah Le-Mispah, Ben El-Shah, or Ben Elasha, he couldn't handle all of this. And apparently, in other words, the fact that Bar Kapara is causing Rebbe to come and dance in front of him, he felt that this was a zilzal. He was a little sort of being mizalzal and Rebbe. Come, v'nafaku, v'intesei mitaman. So him and his wife left the wedding. Okay. This is the story of Bar Kapara and Rebbe when he was made a chasana for his son, Reb Shimon. Now the Gemara says, this Ben Elasha here, my Ben Elasha. Who was this Ben Elasha? We said before that he was extremely rich. Where do we see where do we see his riches? The Tanya, we learned in the Braisa, interesting thing. Lo lechinam piza Ben Elasha esma isav. It wasn't for nothing that Ben Elasha spent all of his money. What did he spend his money for? He's paid a lot of money for a barber to try to copy the way the haircut was given to a Kohen Gadol. It was a very unique haircut that was given for a Kohen Gadol that's hard to do, and he spent a lot of money to copy this haircut. Interesting. What's this haircut of the Kohen Gadol? The pasuk says, Kassaim yichsemu es rashayim. When the pasuk speaks about the way the hair is cut for the Kohen Gadol, so it uses this term of kassaim yichsemu. What does this mean? So Tana, we learned in the Braise, ke'en lulinus. The haircut of a Kohen Gadol is like lulinus. My lulinus. What does lulinus mean? Amar Rabbi Yehuda tasparte yechidata. This is a very unique haircut. Which heichidami? How is this haircut? Amar Rave. So Rave says roishei shel zeh b'tzad ikrei shel zeh. That the hairs that were cut perfectly in a way that the beginning of one hair is when the other hair ends, and it looks like all the hairs are like one hemshech, like one continuation. You don't like see individual hairs, but the hairs are lined up perfectly. The head and the beginning of and the beginning and the head and the end of one hair goes together. That's the unique. This is the unique haircut of a Kohen Gadol, and this is the kind of haircut that Ben Elisha wanted to have for himself. Okay. The Rashi in another place, I think this is a Rashi, and this is brought in another Rashi over there in Nach. Rashi there says that when it says in the pasuk Kasam Yichsemu, what's this word Kasam Yichsemu? It's related to the way spelt grows, the way the kernels of spelt grow. So they grow one right after the other, and when one ends, the other one grows right on top of it. And that's the same way also the haircut of the Kohen Gadol, where the hair is lined up together. That's the unique, the chiddush of this haircut. One on top of the other. Going back to the Mishnah, it said that when a person makes a neder not to eat from a tafshil, first Mishnah in the Perek, so what did it say there? That he's still allowed to eat from this dalas or a mutzah, some kind of a gourd, and the reason is because it's not eaten together with bread. Tafshil is a kind of cooked dish that you eat accompanying bread, but the dalas or a mutzah, since it's not eaten together with bread, so you're still allowed. My dalas or a mutzah. What is this dalas or a mutzah? Oma Shmuel said, Kra karkuzoi. It's the gourd that comes from karkuzoi. Ravashi Oma dalas hatmuna beremetz. It's not a certain kind of a gourd that comes from any specific place, but it's just a gourd that was hidden inside remetz, inside embers, inside ashes, to keep it warm. Ravina asked on Ravashi's pshat. It says in the Braise, this is regarding kalayim. Rab Nechemia said, "Dalas aramis," the gourd that comes from Armenian dalas, or dalas hamitzris, the gourd that comes from Mitzrayim. Kalayim, so they are kalayim ima Yavanis. If they are planted together with the gourd that comes from Yavan, from the Greek dalas. Kalayim. How do you read this over here again? It's Kalayim Hayavanis, that is, okay. Again, Rab Nechemia says the las aramis. Let me read it again. Sorry, I didn't read it right. Rab Nechemia says the las aramis. I missed one word there. He the las hamitzris. It's the same as the las hamitzris. Okay, so it's not. They're the same thing. And therefore, kalayim ima Yavanis, it's kalayim if you mix it with the Yavanis, and kalayim ima Ramutza, and it's also kalayim if you mix it with the Ramutza. So what do you see over here, the lashon of this braise? Ramutza is not a dalas which is kept in ashes or in embers. It's actually a certain type of kalayim, a certain type of the dalas that comes from a certain place. So we can't say that Ramutza means like Ravashi says. To Yufte, this refutes the pshat of Ravashi. So the dalas is Ramutza is a certain type of dalas that comes from a certain place. Ramutza actually means, the Mepharshim say, that it remains very hard and very tough. It doesn't cook well. So therefore, even after you cook it, people don't eat it together with bread. That's this dalas. Zok the Mishnah. This Mishnah here actually is the same Mishnah that we had in the beginning of the Perek. The Gemara quotes it here again, and for some reason it's the printer put it as if it's a new Mishnah here, but it's really not a new Mishnah. This is just a quote from the Mishnah of the beginning of the Perek. So what did we learn there? Hanayder mimaisa kedera. Someone makes a neder, and the language of his neder is that he's not going to have anor from maisa kedera, from things that are prepared in a pot. Ein asa ela mimaisa retachta. This lashon of maisa kedera only refers to those things that are boiled in a pot, which have to be boiled well. Have to be boiled, like the Ran says before in the Mishnah. This refers to different kinds of hot cereals that were made in those times from the grits of different grains that had to be boiled very well. That's what maisa kedera means. Omar, if he said kainama yored l'kedera, he used the term yored l'kedera, things that go into a pot, so that's more inclusive. So then shani time that he will taste from it, asa b'chol anasa b'kedera. So then he's asa to have anah from anything that is made, that is cooked in a pot. So in a Braisa we learned more details about this. Haneider min hayored l'kedera, person makes a neder from things that go into a pot. Aser b'yored le'ilpis. He's also aser to eat from things that are being fried in a pan. And the reason is because over here, these things that are fried in the pan, shekvar yorad l'kedera kaidim sheyored le'ilpis. Because before it was fried in the pan, it was first cooked, and then they finish it off by then putting it into the pan. So because it was previously prepared in the pot, so this is also considered to be yored l'kedera, even though it afterwards goes into the pan. Min hayored le'ilpis, if his neder is that he's not going to eat from what goes into the pan, mutter b'yored l'kedera. So he will be mutter to eat from what's cooked in the pot, even though what's being cooked in the pot usually is later finished off by frying it in the pan. But over here, if you didn't finish it off in the pan, so it'll be mutter for you to eat. Min hanasa b'kedera, if he uses a term and says something that will be done, it'll be completed, nasa in the pot. So then mutter b'nasa b'ilfis. So then he's mutter to eat something that's later put into the pan, because the lashon nasa means that it's going to be finished in the pot. So even though this was something that was cooked in the pot and later it was put into the pan, but it wasn't finished in the pot, so he'll be mutter with that. Min hanasa be'ilpis, if he says that his neder is not to eat something that was finished in the pan, mutter b'nasa b'kedera, he'll be mutter with something which was made and finished in the pot, even though many times from the pot it's taken afterwards and put into the pan, but because he said nasa be'ilpis, it means only what was made in the ilpis. Haneider min hayored l'tana, person says his neder is not to eat what goes into what's baked in an oven. What does this lashon include? Ein asa ela b'pas. That only refers to bread. This lashon tanner, a person usually says only regarding bread. But if he says anything of that's finished in the oven, a lie is asa for him. So then asa b'chol hanasa b'tana. Then it'll be asa for anything that's finished in the oven, whatever it is, any type of cake, any kugel, whatever it is, not only bread. Min kavush. If a person makes a neder not to have a nah from things that are kavush, pickled. Ein aser ela min kavush shel yerek. So then you'll only be aser from pickled vegetables, like pickles and things like that. Because the Ran over here says in the one shot that because he said ha kavush, the ha means things that are usually pickled. So even though it's possible that someone pickles other things, but things that are usually pickled is vegetables, so therefore it'll be only aser from the vegetables. But if he said that kavush sha'ani toyim, that pickled I will not taste, so asa b'chol hakvushim. So then it'll be asa from anything that's pickled. So the Ran says either because he didn't use the hay, he didn't say ha kavush, he just said pickled, or because he said sha'ani toyim, I will taste. So that's more inclusive. That includes anything that's pickled. Similar, if a person says min hashaluk, from things that are shaluk, usually shaluk means something that's very well cooked, or the Ran over here actually says that shaluk means something that's undercooked, it's not cooked properly. So that refers to meat that's cooked, what is it called? Medium rare, it's not properly cooked. That's what the term shaluk usually refers to, especially he said the hey, ha-shaluk. Shaluk sha'ani tayim, but he just says shaluk without the hey, and he says shaluk sha'ani tayim, that things that are undercooked, that I will not taste from it, asa b'chol hashlukim. So then it is also from any kinds of things that are cooked and not are undercooked. The Gemara asks, Ashayla, Omar Rav Ache, Berei Rav Avya Rav Ashi. Omar dik kavish. He says, I ask myself of things that are cooked. We use the dalet dik kavish, or in Lashon Kodesh it would be shek kavush. He doesn't say ha. Ha means something specific. On the other hand, he's not saying kavush without that hey, but he's adding there dik kavish. So how do we interpret this dalet in there? Mai. What does this mean? Or dish shalik mai. What does this mean? Is it the dalet there means something which is usually pickled or usually undercooked, and therefore would only refer to vegetables or meat? And the same thing, ditzali uses the term ditzali mai, dimaliach mai, heichen mashma. What do all these expressions mean? Do they refer to something that is usually roasted or usually salted, or it really refers to anything? Just like the word kavush shani tayim in the Mishnah. So over here as well, it would refer to anything which is pickled, anything which is undercooked. Tibai, this remains an ibaya. This again, there's a lot in Masechta Nedarim. It doesn't use the term teiku, it uses the term tibai. Okay, so we'll see here in the continuation of the next Mishnah. It brought up tzali and meliach because the next Mishnah continues to talk about similar regarding the lashon of tzali and meliach and so on. Zok the Heilige Mishnah menat tzali. Person makes a neder not to have a no from something that is roasted. So you use the hot tzali, so that which is always roasted. Ein asa element at tzali shel basar. So you asa to eat from meat that's roasted. That's what's usually roasted. Divrei Rabbi Yehuda. That's what Rabbi Yehuda says. Tzali sha'ani tayim. He uses the term tzali, which I will taste. Aser b'chol atzluyim. So then he's aser from all kinds of things that are roasted. Min hamaliach. If he uses the term hamaliach, this which is usually salted, ein aser element hamaliach shel dog. So he's aser to eat from fish that's usually salted. Let's say like herring or schmaltz herring or things like that are usually made very salted. If he says maliach sha'ani tayim, I will not eat from meliach. I will not taste from things that are salted. So he didn't say that's usually salted. Asa b'chol ha'meluchim. So he's asa to eat from any of the foods that are salted. Dogim shani tayim. His neder is not to eat from fish. So he said a double expression. Dog, fish, and then he says dogim shani tayim that I will taste. So what's the meaning of this double expression? Asa behen, he'll be asa from fish, ben g'dailim, ben k'tanim. Whether big fish, whether small fish, bein meluchim, whether salted fish, bein tfeilim, whether unsalted fish, bein chayim, whether raw fish, bein mevushalim, whether cooked fish, because he said that this is double lashon, so this includes all kinds of fish. But umuter betaris trufa, he will be mutter to eat fish that's called taris, a certain kind of fish, and trufa, this is a big fish that they would like cut up into pieces. Okay, because he said dogim, it doesn't include these little pieces of this big fish. And also ubetzir, he'll be mutter still to eat from the brine of the fish. And the Bach here adds also bemurius, which is the fish juice that when you cook it, you have the fish juice. That'll also be mutter from that. Haneider min hatzachana, person that makes a neder not to eat from tzachana, which is pieces from the fish. So then, asa betaris trufa, he'll be asa to eat from this fish, which is cut into pieces, because that's what tzachna means. But umutter betzir b'murius, he'll still be mutter to eat from the brine or the juice from the fish, because there's no actual pieces of fish that are in it. Haneider mitaris trufa, the neder he made was not to eat from taris trufa, which includes the pieces of the fish that it's cut up. So then, asa, according to the girsa that we have in our Gemara, asa betzir ubemurius, he will be asa to eat from the brine and from the juice of the fish, because when you cut up these pieces of this large fish, so it sometimes has pieces in it, sometimes there's no pieces there because it's a bunch of different pieces with the brine, so it includes actually also the brine and the juice. That's the girsa we have in our Gemara, but in the Mishnayos and the Ran over here is gairis mutter betzir ubemurius, that even if he's saying that his neder is the taris trufa, and it's cut up in a bunch of pieces together with juice, but it has to be with actual pieces of fish. If there's no actual pieces of fish, that's not included in his neder. Tanya, we learned in a Braisa regarding the expressions that are used for fish when a person makes a neder. Rab Shimon ben Elazar said, dog sha'ani tayim. Person says, he uses the term dog in Lashon Kodesh, that I will taste from it. Aser b'gedolim, he's not allowed to eat from large fish. Umutter b'ktanim, he's allowed to eat small fish. Doga shani tayim, but if he says doga, that I will taste from it, then asa b'ktanim, he won't be allowed to eat from small fish, umutter b'gedolim, and he's allowed to eat from large fish. So the Gemara explains, what's the difference if it's dog or doga? Right, why is this? So the Gemara explains, doga, where first the Gemara says, doga shani tayim, if he uses both expressions, that I will not taste from these different types of fish, then asa ben b'gedolim ben b'ktanim. He won't be allowed to eat large fish and small fish. Rav Papa Rav Papa asks Abaya about this Braisa here. Mimai, the dog shani tayim gadlu. From where do you know that the term dog, when he says he won't taste from this, so how do you know what the meaning of this word dog is? Tichsev, that it means a large fish. Tichsev, the pasuk says, by Yaina, when he jumped into the water, Vayaman Hashem dog gadol, the Eibishter appointed this large fish that came, levloyas Yaina, to swallow Yaina. So we see that dog means gadol, a large fish. But if so, v'haksiv, there in Yaina it also says, Vayispalel Yaina el Hashem elikav mimei adoga. He davened to Hashem from the inside of the fish. So, seemingly talking about the same fish, and it refers to it as doga. So we see that dog and doga are expressions that could be both about a large fish. So the Gemara answers, Halakashya. There's no question on this that it says here dog and here it says daga. Because Dilme, perhaps what happened is, Palte dag gadol, this large fish spit out yaina, Ubale dag cotton, and a small fish then swallowed him. And then when he called out, when he davened to Hashem, he was in a small fish. Okay, this is the famous story that the Medrash actually says, that when Yaina was there in this large fish, it was a very big place for him to be there, and the Medrash says he didn't daven to Hashem, he was comfortable there. So then the Eibush says, he's not davening to me. So the big fish spit him out, and he went into a small fish, and then he was uncomfortable there, and that's when he called out to Hashem. So that's why the Dogga is a small fish, even though this small fish that Yaina was inside must have been pretty big as well. But relatively, in other words, the Pasuk is using the term Dogga to say that it's smaller. So from this you see that Dogga is a smaller fish. Ella, so the Gemara says, there's another question here. What Rav Papa asked Abaye is, when it says by the Makkah of Dam, Vahadoga asher b'yo'er mesa, the fish in the Nilus, in the river, it died. So what does this mean? Ketana mesu gedailim loy mesu. According to what this Braisa says, Doga means only small fish. Only the small fish died by the Makkah of Dam, when the blood it all turned into blood, and the large fish did not die. How could that be? Ella, so therefore the Gemara says the pshat of here must be as follows: Doga mashma gedailim umashma ketanim. Doga could mean both, large fish, small fish. U'b'nedarim halech achaloshim b'nei yadam. When it comes to nedarim, you have to follow the language of the way people speak. When people say dog, they mean a large fish, and when people say doga in the lashon of the pasuk, doga could mean both, large and small. But people use it when they're speaking about small fish. And the Mishnah said, "Neider minat tzachana." So the Mishnah said, "Tzachana" will mean that it's aser not only in full pieces of a fish, but even small pieces of fish that are cut up from this taurus fish as well. So Amar le Ravina Ravina asked Ravashi, Amar hare alai tzichin. The person uses the term tzichin. What's going to be the halacha with tzichin? So in our Mishnah it said regarding tzachana that he's only going to be aser if he's eating from something that actually has pieces of fish in it, but not the brine of the fish or not the juice of the fish. But tzichin is a translation of this word tzachana. So what is the meaning with this word tzichin? Either the word tzachana, tzichin, also why is the fish called tzachana? Because it has a fishy smell, that unpleasant odor sometimes that you have from fish. So tzichin is a translation of the word tzachana, which means that odor of the fish. So maybe when a person says tzichin, he doesn't actually mean where there's pieces of fish. Maybe that includes also where you have the brine of the fish and it has that same smell. Or no, maybe tzichin is a translation of tzachana and it means specifically where there has to be pieces of fish in it. Tiboy, this as well remains a boye, not resolved. Okay.